Hurricane Matthew is one of the most dangerous to hit the Caribbean in decades.
What complicates aid distribution even more is that the bridge that used to be right here completely collapsed, isolating the southern part of the country, which was the worst hit by the hurricane, from the capital, Port-au-Prince.
When we got there, we had hoped to arrive during the daytime where the villages are that we work, but we got there at night. And driving down the road along the river, when with all the trees that had been just sheared off by the hurricane and nothing green, no foliage, no leaves. If you didn't know there had been a hurricane, you would have found yourself wondering, what in the world happened here? Because the landscape just looked destroyed.
Marfranc was probably the worst of the areas that we saw.
The eye of the hurricane went right over these villages. This is what people told us. They said first it was bad, and then it got quiet, and then it got worse. I knew that people's homes had been destroyed, that their homes didn't have roofs, that all the gardens had been destroyed, and people were already hungry because it was over a week after the hurricane when we arrived.
Marfranc looks like a campsite, not a town.
No one in Marfranc, the village where our house and our base is, that's the village that's kind of home base for us, no one has a roof on their house. And during the week that we were there after the hurricane, it rained almost every day. And so it was simply raining into people's homes. For me, the hardest thing was standing with people who had nothing to begin with, and then their home flew away around them in the hurricane as they laid on the floor for 12 hours. And when it was all over, they had a rock slab and the clothes on their backs.
I just imagined that, yes, they do feel like, why did this happen to me?
To be there with them and feel like, I guess to be honest, to feel like it wasn't fair. I found Jacqueline, and as we were talking, I said to him, and I could tell that they were overwhelmed, they were depressed. And I said, what are people saying about what has happened? And because of the food shortage, he looked at me and he said, what everybody's saying is that we'll all be dead in 3 weeks.
The mindset is that if they don't get help, that they'll be dead in 3 weeks, because there is absolutely no food in Marfranc or across the river.
Just tried to give assurance to the people that we are here. You are our neighbors. We're here to help. We're not going to leave you alone.
We made it very clear that we had no intentions of leaving and that our work was just beginning. Immediate needs would be food.
All the focus in the big aid organizations is on the two big cities on the peninsula, Jeremy and Kais, which means that organizations like the Red Cross and CARE and the UN, they're never even going to cross the river. They're never even going to go to those villages. And so you might think it sounds crazy, but if New Life for Haiti does not get food across the river into those villages, probably no food will come. Right now, what I'm trying to figure out is how we get maybe another 100,000 pounds of food into the villages across the river. So they need food, and they need to cover their houses. So we're talking about shipping down tarps. We're talking about buying large quantities of tin roofing to give away out there. They very much need seed to replant, because Haitians don't buy seeds for their gardens. They harvest seeds out of their previous crop. So when all of the gardens went down the hillsides in the hurricane and ultimately down the river and into the ocean, they were left without seed. So they need seed to replant, and then long term, we need to help them. This is a place where people live on maybe a couple $100s a year, and so we need to help them rebuild their homes, or they're not going to have anywhere to live. I made the comment to Scotty and Kenny. I said, I'm pretty sure that when we get to heaven, the poorest people are going to have the biggest houses.